Dr. Ramachandran, Sri Vinod Raji, Sri T.K. Arun, Sri Rishi Seth, Dr. Rita Rangnekar, senior officials who are all watching this program, professors, and my dear students, youngsters, who are all participating in this program through, of course, in virtual mode. Really happy to be here for this virtual launch of this book by Dr. Ramachandran, former Secretary Government of India, a prolific writer, a man with ideas that to gain from field experience. Sri Ramachandran has written many books, but this book is important because it's a timely reminder for us to introspect on our existing governance practices and look for some promising pathways for reform. I am equally happy that today we have a panel or a participation by Sri T.K. Arun, consulting editor, Economic Times, who has a rich experience in the journalism and who have just now made very interesting points for discussion and also for guidance. And he has raised some questions also out of experience. They are very thought-provoking that way. And Sri Vinod Raji is one of our outstanding civil servants of the country and who made a mark as a CAG of this country with his great rich administrative experience. And I am particularly happy over the topic, bring governments and people closer. Government and people closer. That is really, as I said, is the need of the hour. Having been in public life for many decades, I too had the opportunity to observe how governments and people interact with each other. It seems almost axiomatic that democratic governments should be close to people, be very responsive to their needs, and adopt a caring and facilitating experience. As a Thiruvalluvar wrote in Thirukkural on the importance of good governance, where there is rain, the living creations thrive. And so when the king rules justly, his subjects thrive. The objective of all the governments that are elected by the people is generally to let the people thrive. But then, between the intent and the implementation, between the policy and the practice, there are gaps. Not that we have not made any improvement. We made a lot of improvement. Successive governments have done their best. And there are many reports of the reforms committees at the state and central level. And also, we have been going through series of articles written people with experience. How to narrow the gap. And the purpose is better the governance. The ultimate test of any good governance is the quality of life of the people. Making the life of the people qualitative. The happiness quotient and the well quotient, the ease of living index. I think today is an international happiness day. What is happiness? Happiness, many ways to many people. But hassle-free system, easy, transparent system, and easy, transparent, hassle-free procedures in public offices. That makes people happy. Of course, the nature, the family, the mental attitude, and the share and care you take or others take, and also the people following a civic sense, everybody respecting rule of law, and everybody doing their duty will make everyone happy. It's not merely your efforts, your economic growth that is going to make you happy. You need happiness, as I have explained, in all these fields, so that makes you happy. Coming to the topic, today's topic is improving the living standards of our people. It is the duty of the government to take policy formulations and also simplify the procedures. But ultimately, I personally feel with my experience in public life, it is the delivery system. At the end of the day, delivery, your intentions, your great formulations, your reforms, your new ideas, and your slews of measures, welfare, as well as development-oriented, they are all on one side important. But what is more important is delivery. The people who has to deliver, and also the reviewing mechanism of delivery. The panchayat, the municipality, the Jilla Parishad, the Legislative Assembly, and here in Parliament. We review it from time to time and then try to understand where does the lacuna stands. And what are the improvements that have been made and what are the deficiencies that has to be taken care. This is very important. As Arun was mentioning about the role of the legislators, MLAs and parliamentarians, their basic duty is to bring legislations, to review the performances. But I have seen of late, these people are taking more interest in the development, political as well as public, and they want to decide. That responsibility is given to somebody else. Your responsibility is to review. Your responsibility is to legislate. Your responsibility is to highlight the deficiencies and the efficiencies and then give guidance through legislature and parliament. The 73rd and 74th Amendment, the aims to bring decentralization in public life, because from Delhi, covering a gully is not simple. For the local level, panchayats have come, Jilla Parishad has come, municipalities have come, and then above assemblies and parliament. The policy formulations are made here, but the implementation part should be left to them. How far we are giving power, real power to those bodies. That has to be analyzed from time to time. See, 3Ds, that is the devolution, decentralization, is powers to what extent we have allowed the decentralization to take. Is an important question. According to the 73rd and 74th Amendment, 29 subjects were supposed to be devolved to the local bodies. But I have reviewed it when I was Rural Development Minister. I have reviewed it when I was Urban Development Minister. There is a lot of improvement. Many states have done it. But still, many are yet to really make the legislation, the constitutional amendment, into a real reality. This is one aspect where we have to focus and see that this devolution takes place and empowerment of the local bodies is carried out. And then as I was mentioning about the intent and implementation, between the policy and the practice, there are gaps. The Prime Minister spoke of, he gave a 3-line mantra: reform, perform, and transform. Transformation for the betterment of the nation. Transformation for what? To transform the lives of the people. That is the ultimate aim. So, who can do it? It is not merely elected representatives alone. It is the bureaucracy again, which has to focus its attention to see to it that these reforms are carried out at the grassroots level. Delivery, as I was telling. That's why, of course, slews of reforms have been taken by this Prime Minister. He is keen on reforming everything. He is trying his best. He is working hard, undoubtedly. Sometimes he becomes restive also, as I could see, having worked with him and having observing him. Now, these reforms has to be implemented in letter and spirit by various stakeholders. Unless everybody cooperates, this is not that much simple. And the reforms are always met with resistance, because by reforming, you are making to perform and bring the transformation in the system. But some certain vested interests, they will be affected by reforms. So there will be opposition. Instead of directly saying they are opposing these reforms, they will try to find other excuses to make you draw different conclusions. So you need the political will, administrative skill. Then only you will be able to do it. That's why the political leadership is important. Bureaucracy also is equally important. Because at the end of the day, implementation part is again dealt by bureaucracy. The ultimate test of a good governance is the quality of life of the people, as I said earlier. The happiness quotient, the wellness quotient, the ease of living index. Ease of living index. Whatever is been promised, are you getting that delivered without problem, without waiting, without standing in a queue, without meeting people, without greeting people, as I said, without standing in a queue, going and meeting and greeting, shaking hand and doing something in between a hand. There should not be any such necessity. That should be the ultimate reform. That's why the Janadhana, opening bank accounts, this Aadhaar, JAM, Janadhana, Aadhaar and mobile, direct delivery, the pension, the scholarship, lot of entitlements, they're all reaching people. I do agree and I am very happy about it because the government is trying its best to really make it easy, transparent, and bringing hassle-free systems and also procedures in public life. But we have come a long way in our journey of governance since independence. In the living standards of our people, there is a lot of improvement also, but there are still glaring deficiencies at various levels, and we must constantly review and reform our governance system. The elimination of corruption is possible through streamlining system. It's not simply sufficient that the Prime Minister is very honest, undoubtedly. Nobody can question. And many of the chief ministers are also honest. Number of ministers are honest. But as I told you, unless the delivery mechanism is improved, unless they are also honest, unless people have got a right to know what is happening, what is not happening, unless the people have a right to question why it's not happening, why this delay, this improvement in the system is not easy. The author, Sri Ramachandran ji, highlights the difficulties encountered by the common citizens in public offices, whether it is getting a property registered, or getting a driving license, or to obtain police verification. We have just now heard Sharon telling us about the passport verification. It's made very simple. So that means if there is a will, there is a way. The other day I was in Tirupati. I go to Tirupati once in a year. Only once in a year, not to cause difficulty to other pilgrims who come to the temple. The way improvements has been made to the system, really amazing. You raise any issue, there is an improvement. There is a response to that. And then thousands of people, they come to Tirupati, and then everything has been streamlined, right from getting your ticket to going to the hills, staying there, accommodation, and then knowing your time of darshan, and then taking care of your other needs, everything is streamlined. I'm told around 70,000 to 1 lakh people, they come for darshan. This is one example. And this passport is another example. If you take the spirit and then you try, everyone at every level, try to improve things, there should not be any need for anybody to wait in queue. We made a lot of improvements in rural development, urban development, by bringing changes from time to time. Earlier, people used to come to Delhi. Now we made the government to go to the state. As a minister, I used to take all my officers, including 9 joint secretaries, additional secretary, go to the state, sit face to face with the state administration, understand what are the problems, and then offer solutions then and there itself. So you need to improve the delivery mechanism, delivery system in every walk of life. Getting basic services should not be a struggle for the common man. How can we make this better? To begin with, I think the author quite rightly argues that inordinate time-taking process are the main reasons for people get assailed in public offices. This should change. The processes should be streamlined, and citizen charters must be clearly specify the time within which their services can be availed, just like RTI. There must be greater accountability and time-bound disposal of grievances. Strengthening purposeful grievance redressal mechanisms like centralized public grievance redress and monitoring systems, having more Janata Adalats and restructuring offices, and also good suggestions. The author's idea of a new ease of common man's interaction with the government index is also a welcome suggestion. This can actually be an important component of ease of living index. The governance system should also be redesigned with the principle of trust-based governance to cut down on time taken and to improve hesitation. I must compliment the government for the great strides taken in this regard over the past few years. Self-attestation is deemed sufficient for many documents now. Earlier that also used to take, one has to certify even the pension that he is still alive, and then he has to go around people and all. Very simple thing. Similarly, because he is alive, he is coming for asking for pension. Why is the need to get a certificate for that matter? The digital copies are considered as good as physical copies nowadays. We are moving digital. That should be expedited further. We are a huge country. I am aware of the challenges. But still, we have made a lot of progress and we must make much more progress. Digital, online, that should be the main line so that there is no need for any line in future. Taking the Vivad Se Viswas principle forward, the tax reforms last year brought in faceless assessment and appeals, eliminating the physical interface between the tax authorities and taxpayers is also an important initiative. It should be improved further. Government should also seek to measure the quality of their service delivery and act on this feedback to improve service delivery. Like the air quality, there is a measurement that has come now. You can measure air quality. So service quality, service delivery, that feedback also should be made available. This is achieved through an outcome-oriented approach to governance. The government has adopted this approach for measuring its outcomes in a real-time manner, be it Disha platform for schools, Saubhagya portals for rural electrification, among others. The core mantra that should be transform vision to mission and mission to implementation in the least possible time and in the most efficient way. Least possible time and most efficient way. With a long experience in the field of urban development, the author has focused on the challenges of urban governance. The population in cities have phenomenally increased in line with the global trends. The ordinary citizens has basic expectation of amenities for a comfortable life in a city. That housing, electricity, water, sanitation, waste management, and mobility. A lot of progress has been made over the years, but there is still some more distance to go. Along with urban reforms undertaken over the last few years, schemes like Amrut, Hriday, smart cities, they must be implemented seriously at the ground level. Eventually, we must try to create not infrastructure alone, but ensure happy living spaces for all classes of society in a city. I would like to draw your attention, go through this pandemic. Make a study that this pandemic, this COVID-19, the rural people are less affected. What is the reason? The farmers, in spite of this pandemic, have gone for record production. Record. In spite of the difficulties faced, every sector there is a setback in the country. But the only sector that made phenomenal progress even during the COVID is agriculture sector. In spite of the problems, not that agriculture has many problems. It is facing challenges also. But see, and as I told you, as I observed the other day, I shared with important people in the administration, I told them, please make a study. Not even 2% of the farming community is affected. Why? Not even 1%, 1 out of 100 of the agriculture labor is affected by the COVID-19. I'm not talking of economically, I'm talking of health-wise. The reason being the way they live. Living spaces, some openness, allowing air circulation. Air circulation is an important factor in this COVID. And you see what is happening to Western countries, to the urban areas, and what is happening to India, in spite of having such a massive population and all. The farmers are least affected. The agriculture workers are least affected because they live with the sun. We may live with our sons, but we are not utilizing the sun. The sun is a happiness factor, the sunlight. It will make your life bright if you allow it to enter into your house. But we are closing our houses from all sides. This is another matter for the urban developers to focus their attention, and also particularly people who are working in the housing sector. One is the open spaces. Second is within the house also light, air must be allowed to come in. The old Vastu, according to my grandfather, was based on water, air circulation, and sun and light. And nowadays it is fashion. Recently I met an architect. I took her to the washroom and showed her the washroom, wash basin, and then opened the tap. Half of the water was going into the wash basin, remaining was coming on us. I told her, what is this? She said, sir, these shallow basins are the fashion. I said, shallow or hollow? I told her in my own way, in language, Ma, see, Saundaryama, Saukaryama. Saundaryama means aesthetics and fashion. Saukaryama means comfort. We are not bothering about comfort. We are more interested in fashion. Even when you go for sofas, nowadays sofas, if you sit in that sofa, you will get back pain after some time, definite. I don't know, there is some, I'm saying it in the writer design, this thing, whether there is some design behind this, people are doubting nowadays. Passion. You are not bothered about your own health. This is an important factor that has to be, because we are not sure that worst is over with regard to COVID. In future also you may get such challenges. So we have to, while talking of improving the living conditions, we must also improve the open spaces, and also our architects, our planners and designers should plan and guide such a way that enough light is allowed. Of course, along with that, the way you live, the food you eat, the little physical activity, the rural people, they have more physical activity. In urban area, we get into car, door closed, go to office, doors closed, air conditioned, and then go to restaurant, from every side closed. Go to any conference, all sides closed. Everything is closed, including sometimes minds also. So we have to open up. Open up. This is a lesson of COVID for better living of the people. And also the food habits. We must eat. Our forefathers have designed the food in such a way which will suit for us for the season. Food used to be designed the season and the reason. North mein kya hai, south mein kya hai, what is eaten in winter, what is eaten in summer, that has been prescribed. But now we are getting tempted to the food that is packed food. And one boy told me, sir, nowadays it is instant food. I told him instant food means constant disease. You have to understand this. Food cannot be instant. It has to be cooked properly. This is a simple thing. Why I am making this is when we plan for our better future, I am not focusing alone on food. I am talking of living. For that living, we must see to it that we really move with the nature. Nature, culture, together for better future. This has to be kept in mind by one and all. And my dear friends, attitude of the people has to change. Process should be streamlined and the citizen charters must clearly specify the time within which the services can be availed everywhere. There must be greater accountability and time-bound disposal of grievances, strengthening purposeful grievance redressal mechanisms. As I told you earlier, of different mechanisms, and also the ease of common man's interaction with the government index. They are all welcoming suggestions that have been suggested by the author. Governance system should also be redesigned with the principle of trust-based governance to cut down on time taken and improve facilitation. I must compliment the people who have designed various programs. The focus should be quality of the service delivery. You must get a feedback. And you must improve service delivery from time to time. This is achieved through an outcome-oriented approach to governance. The government has adopted this approach for measuring its outcomes. The world is opening up. Our country also. You have now access to net, television, information. Of course, information with confirmation is more than an ammunition. But the information which we are getting is not confirmation. And particularly in the social media, the way information is flooded, that also is causing a havoc. We have to take care of that aspect also. The democratic governance places people at the center of its working, enhancing their capabilities, their well-being, and empowering them to lead productive, fulfilling lives is the central foundation of good governance. Touching upon the messy governance in rural areas, the author quite rightly observes that the major governance issues in rural areas arise from obtaining copies of land records, matter spending in courts, assured electricity. The clamor for free electricity is growing. I am not really in favor of free electricity. What is required is quality electricity. Assured power. Free power means first low power, then no power. And no power will be free power only. So we need to provide really quality power. And then assured power. That will really help the people. There are notable initiatives that are making life easier for rural population also. Digitization of land records, improved road connectivity, Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana, access to cooking fuel through Ujjwala Yojana are some of the government initiatives that are making ease of living in our villages also better by the day. With the advances in technology, it is now possible to bring governance close to people. Technologies can be a great enabler. With initiatives like Digital India, Aadhaar-linked bank accounts, use of geo-tagging to monitor schemes like Swachh Bharat, technology has proved to be a game changer in governance. We must properly understand it, and utilize it. More such innovations must be encouraged, but in the process, due attention must be paid to not exclude even a single citizen. We must make sure that we use Indian languages more extensively in all aspects of governance. Language understood by people must be used in offices, schools, courts, and in public places also. Using mother tongue. I am very keen on this. I want to see a day where everything in public life is carried through first mother tongue, second through Indian languages, and then I have no problem in communicating afterwards in English also. Because you need to, I am not against learning English. Learn English. But first learn and become proficient and efficient in mother tongue so that your foundations are strong, your cultural ethos are strong. Another pertinent suggestion in the book is that we share our best governance practices. Yes, our share and care is the core of Indian philosophy. We should care for others. We should share not only our wealth, we should share our ideas also with others. So knowing best practices or giving wide publicity to these best practices so that they can be replicated is a welcome suggestion. In this regard, I urge the central and state governments to make a comprehensive documentation of governance practices and projects implemented. What are the lessons that we can draw from these experiences? This will give us deeper insight into just successes, into not just successes, but reasons behind failures too, and make way for better implementation elsewhere. In the end, as Team India, we must work towards meeting the 21st century aspirations of our citizens. As I told you, as we are opening up, expectations of, and also aspirations of citizens are also going up. Improve their ease of living and make Indian governance a global model. That is the suggestion this book has made. That's a very important suggestion. Improving service delivery is the basic building block. However, bringing government closer to people does not mean only better delivery of services, but adopting a system that makes citizens active partners in national development. Many of the government programs succeed if people get actively involved, like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, for instance, or the country's response to COVID-19. They should be made, इसको एक जन आंदोलन का रूप देना चाहिए, तभी ये सफल होगा. Merely government programs alone will not succeed unless people understand, people participate in this. So जन आंदोलन का रूप देने के लिए हमेशा कोशिश होना चाहिए. Once again, my dear friends, I am very happy to have launched this book. I hope many developmental practitioners will use this book gainfully and replicate some of the best practices in their own spheres of work. I commend the efforts of the author. You must always share your ideas. The books always convey the best practices, good ideas. And then authors like Ramachandran, who lucidly sharing their perspective insights, distilled from their rich experience, is always useful. That's why I compliment him. My compliment to the Kopal Publishing Group for bringing out this book in a beautiful and a simple manner. Thank you very much once all. Thank you. Namaskar. Jai Hind.